Hi, I'm Tara DeStefano with the Highway Safety Network. I'm the Community Traffic Safety Project Coordinator for Berks County, and I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us in the first of our 6-part traffic safety series. Today we're going to be talking about safe driving behaviors and how by being a safe driver, we will be on the road to zero crashes and zero fatalities. The topics we're going to cover today are distracted driving, seatbelts, and impaired driving. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Distracted driving is any activity that diverts your attention away from the task of driving. There are 3 types of distractions: visual, taking your eyes off the road; manual, taking your hands off the wheel; and cognitive, taking your mind off the task of driving. It could be talking on the phone, texting, eating or drinking, passengers, fiddling with the radio, or anything that takes your attention away from the task of driving.
Texting is really the most alarming distraction because it includes all 3 types of distraction. To read a text message, you must take your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, and your mind off the task of driving. Sending or reading a text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the length of an entire football field with your eyes closed. You cannot drive safely unless the task of driving has your full attention. Any non-driving activity you engage in is a potential distraction, and it increases your risk of crashing. We like to think that we are good at multitasking, but that really is a myth. We are task switchers. This is where your brain moves from one task to another very quickly, thinking you're doing both at the same time. The truth is, we can only handle one thought-provoking thing at a time. In Pennsylvania, texting while driving is prohibited by law. Texting and driving is a primary violation, and that means you can get pulled over if you're using your phone to send, read, or write text-based communications while your car is in motion. The penalty is a summary offense with a $50 fine plus court costs and other fees. In 2016, Daniels Law was signed, and this enhanced penalty is associated with distracted driving crashes that cause injury or fatality. A convicted driver can face up to 5 years in prison for causing a fatal crash due to texting and driving. Every year there are people who are injured or lose their lives due to a distracted driver. Come on, let's all work together. Let's end these road tragedies. Even if we're not the distracted driver, we still need to do our part to increase our chances of surviving a motor vehicle crash. Buckling up is the single most effective thing you can do to protect yourself in a crash. Simply put, seatbelts save lives. Seatbelts are the best defense against impaired, aggressive, and distracted drivers. Being buckled up during a crash helps keep you safe and secure inside your vehicle. Being completely ejected from a vehicle is almost always deadly. Even with your doors locked and windows up, you could still be ejected from the vehicle if you're not belted. Airbags are designed to work with seatbelts, not replace them. If you don't wear your seatbelt, you could be thrown into a rapidly opening frontal airbag. Airbags deploy at 200 miles per hour. Such force could injure or even kill you. Here are some guidelines to buckle up safely. The lap belt and shoulder belt are secured across the pelvis and rib cage, which are better able to withstand crash forces than other parts of your body. They are strong parts of your body. Place the shoulder belt across the middle of your chest and away from your neck. In most cars, you have the ability to adjust the height of the shoulder belt. The lap belt rests across your hips, not your stomach. Never put the shoulder belt behind your back or under an arm. Now let's talk about some myths surrounding seatbelts. Seatbelts can trap you in fire or underwater. Incidents involving fire or water account for 0.5% of all crashes. But more importantly, you can't escape such dangers unless you're conscious. Wearing a seatbelt gives you a much greater chance of being conscious and able-bodied. If you're not going to travel far or fast, seatbelts are unnecessary. Seemingly routine trips can be deceptively dangerous. Most fatal crashes happen within 25 miles of your home and at speeds of less than 40 miles per hour. Your seatbelt can harm you in a crash. The fact is, in a crash, everything in your car can harm you. But your seatbelt is one of the few things that can actually save you. You are safer in a pickup truck, so wearing a seatbelt is unnecessary. For occupants in SUVs, pickups, and vans, seatbelts reduce the risk of fatal injury to the driver and front seat passenger by 60%. Finally, one more surprising fact. Child restraint drops by 40% when parents fail to buckle up. So let's all buckle up together. Now let's talk about impaired driving. The one thing to remember when it comes to impairment is, if you feel different, you drive different. Simple as that. You can't drive safely if you're impaired. That's why it's illegal everywhere in America to drive under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, opioids, methamphetamines, or any potentially impairing drug, prescribed or over the counter. Driving while impaired by any substance, legal or illegal, puts you and others in harm's way. Years ago, it was called drunk driving, and we were all conditioned to know that it is unacceptable to drive drunk. Now we say impaired driving because it not only includes alcohol, but anything else that can impair a driver. That list includes drugs. They can be prescription, over-the-counter, or illicit. Think about that warning label on the prescription bottle that says, "Do not operate heavy machinery." It doesn't just mean construction equipment like bulldozers. That heavy machinery is a car. Even if you are prescribed medication, if that medication impairs your ability to drive, you can be convicted of driving under the influence. And just because a medication is sold over the counter, that doesn't automatically make it safe to drive after taking. When it comes to any medications, prescription or otherwise, we should always know how it can affect us in our driving. There are many misconceptions about marijuana use, including rumors that marijuana can't impair you, or that marijuana use can actually make you a safer driver. This is simply untrue. Research shows that marijuana impairs motor skills, lane tracking, and cognitive functions. Driving impaired by any substance, alcohol or drugs, whether legal or illegal, is against the law in all 50 states. Even in states where marijuana laws have changed, it is still illegal to drive under the influence of the drug. Every day, almost 30 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 50 minutes. Alcohol is a substance that reduces the function of the brain. It impairs thinking, reasoning, and muscle coordination. All these abilities are essential to operating a vehicle safely. Driving after drinking is deadly, yet it still continues to happen across the United States. If you drive while impaired, you could get arrested, or worse, be involved in a traffic crash that causes serious injury or death. Approximately 1/3 of all traffic crash fatalities in the United States involve drunk drivers. In fact, on average, over a 10-year period, more than 10,000 people died every year in drunk driving crashes. In every state, it's illegal to drive with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08 or higher. Yet one person was killed in a drunk driving crash every 50 minutes. So what can we do about this? Simple. Be a responsible driver. If you are drinking, do not drive. Plan your safe ride home before you start the party. Choose a non-drinking friend as a designated driver. If someone you know has been drinking, do not let that person get behind the wheel. Take their keys and help them arrange a sober ride home. If you drink, do not drive for any reason. Call a taxi, a rideshare, or a sober friend. If you're hosting a party where alcohol will be served, make sure all guests leave with a sober driver, and always wear your seatbelt. It's your best defense against impaired drivers. If you see an impaired driver on the road, contact your local law enforcement. Call 911. Your actions could help save someone else's life.
I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll join us again for our next topic. Until then, stay safe on your roads.